Welcome to NC Political Tea, the show where North Carolina's political scene gets served piping hot, grassroots style. We're here to shake up the status quo with unapologetically conservative takes and a whole lot of Southern charm. From the halls of Congress to under the dome, we're exposing the deals, the drama, and the dirt that the mainstream media won't touch. Who's fighting for your freedom? Who's selling out to the woke mob? And who's about to get roasted? No fluff, no filters, and absolutely no time for spineless politics. Just bold Republican commentary, sharp analysis, and enough sass to make the left squirm. So grab your sweet tea or something stronger, and let's dive into the hottest headlines and juiciest scandals rocking the Tar Heel state. This is NC Political Tea, where the truth always gets served.
Representative Chris DeLuzio.
Congresswoman Maggie Goodlander.
Representative Chrissy Houlihan.
Congressman Jason Crow. I was a captain in the United States Navy.
Former CIA officer.
Former Navy.
Former paratrooper and Army Ranger.
Former intelligence officer.
Former Air Force.
We want to speak directly to members of the military
And the intelligence community.
who take risks each day.
To keep Americans safe.
We know you are under enormous stress and pressure right now.
Americans trust their military.
But that trust
We're not really at war, but go on.
is at risk.
This administration is pitting our uniformed military
And intelligence community professionals.
against American citizens like us.
No, that was in the Biden administration, but continue.
You all swore an oath.
To protect and defend this Constitution.
Right now, the threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad,
But from right here at home. Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
No, you cannot refuse illegal orders.
you must refuse illegal orders.
No one has to carry out orders that violate the law or our Constitution.
Okay, but you and I both know, by the way, hello and welcome to Tuesday night. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. So we all know that laws, as they are written, the only way to test laws that are written is in a court of law, period. So your rank and file would never have an absolute and finite way to ascertain whether or not a law is legal or not, unless it's from a court. So my interpretation, and actually Jim Hansen, who we're going to play here in a minute, his interpretation is you're asking ordinary rank and file members who may really look up to these congressional members.
Well,
yeah.
I have a few comments on this one. First of all, you didn't give a damn about that unlawful order stuff during COVID when you tried to get people out of the military, first of all. And secondly, as the daughter of a military Navy veteran who spent 28 years in the service through World War II, Korea, and Vietnam, I know my dad would be absolutely appalled. As a sister of a United States Air Force colonel, she served honorably and would never do that. And I just feel like this is just such a slap in the face for all the veterans and for all the service members that are active duty to hear people in Congress and the Senate and former spies, or probably desk jockeys really, run their mouth like that.
I mean, it's disgraceful. It's appalling, but we may disagree on what we think the remedy should be, but we'll get into that in a second. Jim Hansen, who I respect an awful lot, and actually he has a role at Middle East Forum, who I absolutely love. He spoke in, and he's got a lot of credibility on this. So I want to get your take on when you hear this. When you hear this.
Military.
Starting now.
The intelligence community to try and convince some poor soul who's currently serving to throw away their career pretending that President Trump had issued an illegal order. Now, in that video, they weren't talking if
Okay,
you
so
get an illegal order. They said things like, you must disobey illegal orders. You know, the threat is domestic, no longer foreign. You must be brave, those kind of things. They were not talking about the future. They were trying to suborn sedition, and now they're being held accountable.
Okay, so suborn sedition. This sounds very serious.
It is. It is.
How do you interpret it?
So if it were treason, we would be in a war situation. When there's no war going on, and You say things that will subvert the government. It's called sedition. Falls under the Espionage Act. And frankly, he's right. He's right, because there's been no unlawful order. And what I really, you know what that reminded me of, Sloan, which really bothers me? Do you remember that airman who went to DC and set himself on fire? Like,
yeah.
Those people, those 6 seditionists,
Right.
they're setting people on
Right.
fire in a figurative manner.
You just brought up a really important point. All of these Democrats keep saying we have a mental health problem in this country. We have a mental health crisis with young men. We have a mental health crisis, over and over and over again. So if they've said that, they understand that that's going to extend, unfortunately, possibly to young men in our military who would, like Jim said, ruin their career because they don't know, they don't have the wherewithal to discern what is lawful, what is not.
Listen, it doesn't take much to get in the military on an ASVAB score. You can get in. It might not be the job you and I would get. We could be cleaning toilets, but you can get in. And frankly, I really listen to this, and I think about all of my friends who have passed away during service time, or my friends that have retired, and how blasphemous this is, if you could say it that way, to even consider saying something like that is so outlandish.
So, this is becoming, obviously, it's becoming a problem. These are the 6. Now, this isn't my graphic, but these are the 6 people who are involved, Democrats, all of them. And so this is what these Democrats just put out today. They said these congressmen that Trump is using the FBI as a tool to intimidate and harass members of Congress. This just came out like 2 hours ago. And they're saying that their jobs are on the line. This isn't constitutional, etc. Yeah. So what are the laws behind this?
Well, first of all, Mark Kelly's in the most vulnerable position because he's a retired captain, U.S. Navy captain, which is a high rank. That's right below admiral. And because he is retired, falls squarely under the UCMJ, which is the Military Code of Justice. And today and yesterday, Pete Hegseth made it very clear that he's not letting this go away. I thought the funniest thing I saw was Hegseth saying your uniform is out of order and your medals are out of order. And we may be talking about that personally. And I think that's the most telling sign, because as someone who has retired military members and their family, you have a modicum of decorum that you still must maintain, even though you're retired. And the fact that Mark Kelly didn't know, clearly acts like he didn't know that.
Do you think he knew?
Oh, he knew. Now he's just tap dancing.
This is Mark Kelly with Alex Soros, who also should be in prison. So Kelly put this up, I think, yesterday. And basically, these are the medals that you're talking about that Pete Hegseth, Secretary of the Department of War, came out and said, hey, buddy, your medals are out of order or whatever. But, he's coming out and saying, I'm being targeted. And I almost wonder now.
He made himself a target.
Hear me out. I might be off base here. I think there's so much shit going on right now, and so many things. First of all, I think it's horrible, right? And it's on the one hand, I'm tired of Democrats doing horrible shit and we not giving them accountability. On the other hand, I'm wondering how many traps they are setting for us to go down, the wrong path, when maybe our messaging should be lockstep, the economy. Because I have to tell you, the economy, I think, there are aspects of it that are doing great. I don't think the messaging is good. Now, there are problems. I'm not in line with the tariffs. I've told you that. We've talked about that. But I am going to give you a good news story after this. But should we be diverting our effort to go after Mark Kelly and these other 5 Nimrods?
Well, first of all, I don't think this should be the level of story that it is. I just don't. I really think that it's bad. What they did is bad, and they deserve to go for ethics complaints. And I really do think Mark Kelly, who is one step down from an admiral, deserves to be held accountable. But is this the top thing on my mind? Hell no, it isn't. Like, we're going into Thanksgiving weekend, and I'm still watching people go to the grocery store and look at their receipts going, what? You know, that to me is a big deal. Knowing what happened in Japan yesterday with the yen, that's a big deal. I look at much bigger things than this. And frankly, I feel like we're getting pulled into the personality war.
You don't say.
I did say.
And I feel it as well. Here's what Caroline Levitt said about what Trump's position is, just so we're all clear on this.
Investigation into Senator Mark Kelly. And I think what Senator Mark Kelly was actually trying to do was intimidate the 1.3 million active duty service members who are currently serving in our United States Armed Forces with that video that he and his Democrat colleagues put out. Senator Mark Kelly well knows the rules of the military and the respect that one must have for the chain of command, and that all lawful orders are presumed to be legal by our service members.
Correct. There you go. All lawful orders are presumed to be illegal. So what
legal.
Sorry, apologies. So what they are in essence doing is besmirching the current commanders within the ranks, which it's a bad look. And I think we should be stressing that is that this may be too strong, but they hate the military, right? I mean, they're the people that are giving the orders and commanding the troops, they have no respect for. That's the issue to me.
I think you're talking about the civilian leadership above the military for specifically. Now, I'm not going to put any words in Mark Kelly's mouth because I frankly can't stand that man. I lived in Arizona when he was running, and he ran on, that his poor wife got shot, which it was a very bad thing that happened. But, and he has a tarnished reputation in the military, just so you know, as being a philanderer. So, I mean, I don't have any love lost for him.
I've seen the pictures. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but to be fair, like I said earlier, I firmly believe the way this should be handled is yank all their clearances, take them off all their committees, and make an example out of Mark Kelly and be done with it. That's all you need to do.
Right about it. Yeah. I don't think we need any pomp and circumstance. Let's just do it. And here's another distraction that we want to talk about. So this came out Friday. All these news stories come out Friday because they know, Margo, they know we're off, damn it. And they drop all the stories on Friday. So Marjorie Trader Green, she says, I am leaving my my seat early. And it just so happens it's 2 days after she gets her massive retirement pension from the Congress.
That's not really how it works. So let me explain how that works. It's no different than working in a corporation. She's vested. When she turns, 63, she gets her money. Until then, it's just sitting in a fund and she can't touch it until she meets the rules. Now, what did she get that was really interesting? First of all, she has $25 million. I really don't think she gives a damn. Plus, she got all that COVID money and forgiveness for it, those PPP loans. But she does get the same health care benefits that she had when she leaves. And she can apply just like you would in a corporation to extend those benefits, which are much better than yours and mine. Okay. And I think what I'll tell you about Marjorie Taylor Greene is I think she's consistent. She came in with space lasers and all that bullshit that she talked about and they got her, taken off all her committees. And now she doesn't like the game and she's going to take her ball and go home. So let her go. Honestly, it's the best thing we could do to just open up that seat to someone that is going to not whine and get it done.
Well, now I'm hearing that that's not going to be so straightforward, and she might have screwed us in Congress. Do you know anything about that? Where, there's got to be some appointment. It might not be the person that we want. We may not have the votes that we need, or it may be an even skinnier majority than we have now. What do you know?
Well, so the rules are the same no matter which state you're in. They're going to have to fill that with a Republican, period, end of story. And the Republican does not have to live in the district, but they have to move into the district within 6 months. This is going to be an appointment, and it's usually an appointment from the district GOP, but those MAGA, they're not MAGA at the GOP, at the Georgia GOP top, at the state level. They're a lot like.
Oh, yes, I've dealt with them before. You and I.
Yeah. So there is concern, and it's right. It's rightful to be concerned because Josh McCoon's going to have his say, and those rhino-y kind of folks are going to really try to push to put someone in that seat that is not from the district and probably doesn't have the same philosophy and feel of that area.
Well, to be fair. I ran the State House campaign, or helped run the State House campaign for the guy who's right next door, who I would love to get that appointment. But there's another guy named Colton Moore who wants the appointment. He's a state senator now. He is a Thomas Massey light, or actually he's a heavy. He's probably the same as Thomas Massey. So you're looking at putting in another anti-Semite, another a nutty Candace Owens fan. So that's kind of where we are. But it would be nice, I'm just putting it out there, Mike Corbin, it would be nice for the GOP to choose him. And then I will be able to help Mike when he gets to DC, just putting it out there.
So I will say, look, I'm not going to say that I like Colton Moore. I'm not going to say that. I am going to say that he was the only one that stood with President Trump at one point in the Georgia legislature. He's the only one that did. And I don't particularly care for him. He's very much on the outside peripheral, but he has done some very good things. He did expose the fact that at the Atlanta airport, Brian Kemp's wife, her whole thing is human trafficking, but there are trafficking humans at the airport in Atlanta. So I've seen him do things. He is in the same general vicinity as Marjorie Taylor Greene, which means the constituency has the same kind of feel.
Yeah, but he's been kicked out of his caucus.
Right. He's been kicked out of his caucus. He's been charged with assault.
Yeah, he's done that. He was the only one that voted against the anti-Semitism recognition in Georgia. So I'm not going to like him. And he's a Thomas More acolyte. So, and by the way, we can agree to disagree. But when it comes to Jew hatred, Christian hatred, and Black hatred, or Groper-esque thing, for me personally, I'm out.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah, listen, I mean, in the audience, you're free to disagree with me, but for me,
listen, Sloan, just because I point out some things I think he did well does not mean I agree with him. I will say, here's what I will say. We don't need another hot dog. We don't. And that's what I call MTG.
Yeah.
So it's a hot dog.
Showboat, distractor, complainer. We need to get out of grievance politics. I'm telling you, JD Vance put something out yesterday. He's another one. We all know why I don't like JD Vance. Let's be real. But I'm never going to like him. But just hear me out, guys. For you guys that are fans, his messaging is grievance politics within the party all the time. He said, let's stop infighting. I agree. We're not getting anywhere on infighting, except goes after me.
After you.
The next week, yesterday, he went after all the Republicans who don't agree with him. What I'm saying just generally is this movement inside of our party, the grievance politics, for instance, 40-year-old men are mad. They've been cheated. I don't give a shit. I've got my own problems. And I tell you, if you're going to message during the election, 30-year-old men are mad. 30-year-old men throughout history have been mad. 30-year-old men have been, we have plenty of 30-year-old men that are working their ass off and doing very well. So this whole thing of, pardon me, and I know DEI really messed us up, guys, because it did, and it still targets white Christian men, for sure. But doing the reverse, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, using it in this victim way.
Right, is we've got to figure something out to where there's real solutions. I personally like some of the messaging from Vivek Ramaswamy, who's running for governor in Ohio. Just if you're looking at messaging, just check out the contrast, because it's focused on, here's a problem, here's what we need to do. Here's a problem, here's what we need to do. I can do it. I like that. Because otherwise, if it's moaning and groaning, it black pills the hell out of me.
Well, I just don't like all these labels. I'm really kind of sick of them, to be honest with you. Boomers, Generation Xers, Zers. Yeah,
I'm called a neocon all the time now. I've never. Wow.
But I think this is. But listen, this culture is label driven, and we did it to ourselves. If you think about what happened in the 80s, it was labels on your clothing. And you think about what happened in the 90s, they kind of went grunge and said, F all the labels. And now we're back at labels because we've had all this fractionization happen within the, especially during COVID.
With DEI, intersectionality. But think of that. We reject them. We're not going to be called oppressors. We're not going to be called cisgender. We're not going to be called And yet we've got a subset of our party who is doing just that and shutting down debate by saying, if you don't agree 100%, you're not American, or you're a neocon, or you're a Jew. True. Guilty.
Well, here's the thing that I feel like we are lacking. Why can't we find commonality? Well, I don't have to be a Republican and not you, but someone be a Democrat and not have some common ground. You know what I mean? Like, we can all agree that every child deserves to have a good education. How they get there is a different story.
Glad you brought that up, my sister. Glad you brought that up, because we have a real problem. So what I'm glad to see is that the Department of Labor, so improving our education system, they're making it a multi-department endeavor. So you've got the Department of Labor on the federal level. I'd like to see that here in North Carolina too, because Luke Farley is our labor commissioner and he's one of us. He's a Republican, right?
Well, not only that, he's very fair.
He's too nice.
I don't think he is. I've seen him. So what I see about Luke that you say is nice is like he's very subtle. He's a very good lawyer. He's a skilled lawyer that way. He's very subtle in his push, but he gets the point across. Like, he never forgets to tell us there's a council of state meeting, because he wants you to see how stupid Josh Stein acts. He's not saying, come watch the idiot. He's saying, we're having a council of state meeting. You should watch.
Right. There's a clown there, no names, but you should really watch. No. But I think it should be a coordinated level. Now, there was a tweet that the Department of Labor put out, and it's enough to make you cry. I want to see if I've got it. Well, what it said was, and it was very scary, is that the scores are beyond abysmal for Americans. 40 to 50% of seniors graduate without being able to reach proficiency in reading and math. And now I'm going to extend this.
This is your round. Go for it.
I'm going to go for it now. Y'all stick with me, but we're going to have a little conversation about what that means for visas, etc. So, again, putting students first. And, you know, I'm in love with a guy. You're never going to get me not to love my president. He's a great guy. Now, there's not I don't love everybody up there
around him.
Yeah, I'm not.
I don't like every decision he makes either, but he makes some really good ones.
He makes some really good ones. He's a good feller. Okay, so you're looking at North Carolina schools, a longitudinal report, of how we've done. And I know it's going to be hard for you guys to see, but this is a drop off right here where my arrow is at 2022.
I don't see your arrow.
Right. And this is reading and math. So proficiency. COVID. Well, no. We have this begins in 1980.
Okay. But the drop off was in 2022, which we know was COVID after COVID, right?
The first drop off right around here, in 2014 was Common Core.
Oh.
Okay. COVID. And then we're really gone in a bad way. So just kind of keep that in mind, because a lot of people say, wow, COVID caused a precipitous drop, or we're trying to calculate. Here's the research question. Is the influx of illegals straining our schools so much that it's driving our scores down? And you and I have talked about this. We don't have a method by which to ascertain exactly how much of a factor that is, because they're not reporting it correctly.
Well, and there's another factor. When we being the Department of Public Instruction, realized that the scores were dropping so low, what did they do? Did they go in and tutor kids? No, they changed the scoring method and what they were scoring on so that the scores were supposed to look better.
Okay, so you're talking about end of grade. So there's two types of testing. EOGs, and that's done statewide. And then every 2 years, there's a national benchmark. So we're talking here about the national benchmark.
But those scores were changed too. Those questions and the way they derived to answers were also changed.
Somewhat. Yeah, somewhat, but the EOGs were really changed, right? And so we have problems. We have big problems. And so what did North Carolinians do under Republicans in their infinite wisdom in 2020, the end of 2020? They said, well, damn it, we've got to put social emotional learning in all 12 academic subjects because that's, by the way, this is before COVID.
That's kind of true, right?
Kids aren't learning. So they're putting bullshit like therapy circles in math classes. I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding you. So I think, and I think the Department of Labor agrees, that we have a national crisis of illiteracy.
I agree.
I mean, this is a national emergency, big time. So this is my idea. I proffered this on X the other day, had a lot of good discussion. I think we need a national tutor corps, and I'll explain. We need to pick 1,000 schools, 1,000 high schools. I'd like to see it a lot more. Just to give you an idea, in North Carolina, we had 822 schools. Okay, so we could put
high schools or schools in general.
High school.
Okay.
Yeah. So it would work this way. We could do it statewide, et cetera, and then do a federal block grant. So it's high intensity, small groups, 5 or 6 students. You could do 45 minutes a day, right? And you can just cycle them through reading and math. We could open this up to U.S. college students, draft them in, retired teachers, retired professors, visa holders, limited. I'm going to make my case in a minute. We can pay for it with federal block grants, eliminating SEL coordinators. Okay, yes. They're in a lot of schools. They get $78,000 a year. Eliminate them, okay, and then back off of these damn school shrinks. Now, Singapore and Israel has the top 2, and India. Those are the 3 areas that have the top math scores, right? So you get, let's just say, a visa for a time-limited period, 4 years. That's it, right? Mm-hmm. They're all paid market rate, so that you're not driving the market down for tutors everywhere. They are getting market rate, $75K, whatever it is, right? And you put them in the bottom 30% of schools. So for us, that would be 246 schools, right? Mm-hmm. And then you start in that junior and senior year. There are 4 pilots I know of, excluding one in Union County, actually, but 4 national pilots where they did these in multiple districts and they raised the score within a 6-month period, 9 points. 9 points in reading and 9 points in math.
I honestly think you should go to like 8th grade and up. And I'll tell you why. Because kids are, they're really formulating their pathway from 8th grade to 9th grade to 10th, right? That's really, because 11th to 12th, they're headed in the direction of college. And I find that young people in that area or that time period are more open to receiving information about how to do math and even languages. And honestly, we could go younger because we know that the younger they are, the more open their minds are to learning language. And math is a language. I don't care what anybody says it is.
Language I didn't learn very well. Okay, so we could figure that out.
Yeah, right? But I like the general idea.
I mean, it works. It works. So instead of doing social emotional learning, instead of doing all this bullshit, I'm telling you, you waste a lot of time in school, and we don't have time to waste. I mean, Trump made this, Trump said, look, and actually, let me get Caroline Levitt in here. Hold on. Let me make sure I've taken everything off of here. He made the case and really stunned Laura Ingraham when he had that interview, right? That we lacked the people to actually do specialized niche things. So let me get Caroline Levitt in here.
The president does not support American workers being replaced. You are mischaracterizing what the president said. The president wants to see our American manufacturing industry be revitalized better than ever before. That's part of what he's doing with his effective use of tariffs and cutting good trade deals around the world. That's why he's recruited trillions and trillions of dollars in investments into our country. Those are creating good paying American jobs right here at home. As for the H1B visa issue, the president has a very nuanced and common sense opinion on this issue. He wants to see if foreign companies are investing trillions of dollars in the United States of America, and they're bringing foreign workers with them to create very niche things like
Yeah. Okay. And so here's what I was thinking. Let's say, because he said something like, it takes a special skill that Americans lack to build batteries, right? What if we, instead of taking, 500 visa workers and putting them in companies, what if we take them and put them in junior and senior classes, right? To teach them those sort of things where it's very niche, where we can meet halfway and say,
I like that. I also think that if you're willing to come to our country on an H1B visa to help tutor students,
unlimited.
I would not, for a limited amount of time, but I wouldn't mind extending your visa to allow you to go to one of our universities. If you're willing to put that much effort in, if you want to get a PhD from one of our great schools, I really do want to give back to the people that want to give to us. And if you want to stay here, I think that it's reasonable to say you've contributed to our society and tried to assimilate in a way that we would like to honor you with citizenship.
Well, and they do that for military members. There are so many of our military members that want to be a part. Again, they want to assimilate. Being an American means assimilation, period. And if you're not willing to do that, then you can get the hell out, period.
That doesn't mean you take away from your culture. It means you join our culture. I love that America has, many different subcultures, but we as Americans are proud to be American first and foremost.
That's right. And so there's Project Firewall, which I just wanted to tell everyone about. I don't know if you knew about this, but it is a new program that the president and his administration has instituted that will proactively allow federal investigations into, employers. And that's important. If you're in a blue state, you're in a blue city like Charlotte or whatever, right? And there's only so much. Like Luke told us, Luke Farley, who is the labor commissioner, came onto our show and said, look, I cannot go to Sam's battery company, right? Where I know there's 100 foreign workers there. I can't do it. What has to happen is basically, Margot, somebody with inside information has to submit credible information first to the Department of Labor for them to investigate. And he says he gets maybe a dozen a year.
Well, that's sad. That's very sad. But I mean, there's no difference in what Luke Farley does in his position as labor commissioner than Dave Bullock does as a state auditor. He's not just going to go audit to audit. He's going to audit when it's warranted and someone brings him the information, whether it's the legislature.
Correct.
Right. So that's basically how it works.
Right. The feds can do this based on whatever the hell they want. Right. So Secretary of Labor can trigger the investigations. I don't know what they're going to need as a pretext for investigations, but they can. Multi-agency coordination, so important. The DOJ and the EEOC will coordinate in these investigations and stronger penalties for noncompliance. And that does mean this. An employer will give it a second dose of second thought, right? If you can be slammed by the feds and the state.
Well, there's another layer to that I didn't see in there that I wish I had seen. It used to be mandatory for anyone that had, I think, more than 100 employees to do E-Verify. And you had like 36 hours or 48 hours. You had to get that stuff in or else, right? That was mandatory. And what we've seen is during the Biden administration specifically, they did not care about E-Verify. And frankly, I think that's something that needs to come back strong. I think you have to show and prove you're a citizen of this country to work at companies that have more than 100 workers.
We can do that at the state level. Fulberger weakened that law at the state level, but we need to have a mandatory.
Of course he did.
We need to have a mandatory. Look, the visa program has absolutely been abused. It's replacing U.S. workers with cheaper labor. So the modification to that, and it's a must, is that if you want to bring an employee in here, you're going to have to pay that. There's going to have to be a floor, right, that you're paying them. There can't be, but again, you don't want to get into people's business. Like, I don't want the government in people's business.
Right.
But how do you make sure, because we need to raise the wages to improve the cost incentives without the government being involved. That's number one, like a local median wage. And I think you can find that. We need to ban or restrict the use of these visas by outsourcing firms. We got to do that right now.
Well, and that's a very interesting point you bring up, because here locally in North Carolina, that's one of the things we've seen. I'll give you the example of Roy Cooper he's such a wonderful guy. He gave an incentive to a company to do tech work in the Research Triangle area. And they said, hey, look, we have to bring our guys in from foreign countries because you don't have skilled labor to do this. I'm sorry, but we have North Carolina State University right there. We have all of these college graduates in that specific area. But they were like, no, we need our own people. And so they eventually, because they couldn't come to an understanding, closed their shop and left. But you know what they got? Tax benefits for the first 2 years.
We're going to talk about that. You read my mind. We need to put America Workers First tests in place, come to think of it. So we need to require evidence of good faith recruiting for U.S. workers first. We've got to do that. No, not just a public posting somewhere, other things. The mandate companies offer it to a required American first. We need to know about that. We need to do that. We need to enforce that, because the visa abuses have got to go on the one hand. On the other hand, we have to recognize we have a shitty education system. So we have to get that way up, right? Bringing in specialized people, President Trump, put them in a trade school capacity to get our American workers, right? Okay. Reduce the amount of visa abuse. We can do this at the same time. We're freaking Republicans. We got this, man.
I really honestly think that we're not giving Americans enough credit. I think young people want to work. They want a house. They want to live. I think that, and let's be honest, a lot of jobs in corporate America do not require a college degree. They need skilled training, but they don't require a college degree. So I think we really need to look at how can we simplify the training to get people on an entry level basis in a job with good skills that makes a decent living. It gives them health care. I'm not talking about minimum wage. That's not what nobody in corporate America makes minimum wage. It just doesn't happen. Yeah. Well, very rarely. But
that's what I'm reading, right. So now we're getting back to the basics that really things that we're talking about. We've been talking about things, kind of taking that for granted. Like people could read at grade level and do math. We're bringing it back to some remedial shit here. This is stuff we never thought we'd have to talk about, but we're going to talk about it. We need that remedial stuff. We need the trade stuff that you're talking about, right? We need a limit on these H1B visa programs. So I think we can do all three at the same time. The foreign doctors bill we've been talking about, that's an easy fix, because we've had doctor after doctor after doctor on this very podcast telling us that there are like a couple thousand in this country, top tier students that don't get into a residency because Congress hasn't opened them up. Open them up. Get us 3,000 more spots for doctors, American doctors.
Agreed. I totally agree. I also think that if we started to look at streamlining labor in a way that mostly like the military does, they score you. They figure out a place for you to fit in and do your job. You're paid the same as everyone else. You can skill up and move up. I don't see any difference than being able to do that. And some people will go in on a remedial level and move quickly, because really what it was is they didn't have good teachers.
We're all going around thinking merit. If you come to this country and you want to contribute and you want to work and there's a need, right? And it's been offered to American workers, but they're not there yet, and you want to do it on your merit, great. But you're not just going to come in here and say, oh, I can pay $30,000 less per year per employee. I'm going to do it, and think you're going to take American jobs. That's what's not going to happen.
Well, I'm going to just say another piece of that people don't see, and I see this every day in tech. I see H1B visa workers who get worked to the bone because they're H1B visa workers, and they're afraid to stand up and say, hey, look, I have so much on my plate. And I find that to happen a lot in tech.
Well, it's not fair to anyone, actually. So we need a system. And again, we got this, man. We can do this. So I just want to put this up here. And I like this guy. I don't know who runs the account. I like this guy. Ready, Go Politics. This is kind of related, but not really related. And his thesis is, look, the GOP, if they enacted a door-to-door illegal alien removal program, they would win in a landslide. I
Well,
don't.
I don't know that what we're doing is a door to door, but we are getting to the point where we're able to check identification based on citizenship, which is very much a way to win. I do believe we don't do enough touch points in a human way. A mailer is going in the damn trash can. I don't want another mailer. I might use it to burn for fire in the fireplace, but I don't want to see another mailer. Mailers are stupid. And I don't believe in the text messaging thing. It may work, Sloan, I don't, but I just literally delete them all.
Well, I think what this guy is saying is that the optics, by the way, of going door to door, first of all, I have a different view of the police than a lot of people do. They can abuse their power, and they will. Not all, in fact, a very tiny minority, but I sure as hell don't want them knocking on doors just to see if somebody's illegal there. That is not a good optic. That's a terrible idea. Incidentally, it's not what we are doing. People say that we're doing that. They lie about it. That is not what we are doing. We are getting people, first of all, my understanding in Charlotte in particular, we're taking the criminals first. They've got warrants. They've broken the law. They didn't show up to immigration court. That's exactly what we need to be doing.
Well, they've been there. Most of them have already been said, you got to get out of here. And they've come back more than once.
And they didn't show up for court.
Right.
So those are the ones, I don't care what people are telling you, we're not going door to door and just seeing if somebody is there, a foreigner. That, if you hear that, is bullshit, complete bullshit. Now, I have got a feel-good story, sort of. Novartis says we're going to add 770 jobs right around where I am that pay about $115,000 each. Okay, that's great. Guess what? They cut $550 at their Switzerland plant, and then they added more to come here. And you know why? Because of Trump's tariffs.
Well, and I think we're actually cheaper labor force than they are in Switzerland. It's the most expensive country in Europe. I think maybe in the world as far as wages.
Well, it's for Trump tariffs,
of course.
Yes. So this is an instance where not all, but there are some successes. This is what our friend Sean has told us a couple times being on the show, that a really impactful thing we would see is in pharma manufacturing.
Yeah. Once again, I go back to what are the incentives we're giving this company, and are we going to measure them? Because I want to make sure that if we give them tax incentives, they don't do their side of the bargain. I want my money. You got to give us the difference.
You and Brian Balfour, Locke Foundation, are thinking the same way, because
he's one of my favorites.
He is. I mean, he's
he's logical.
Seems like a good egg. Yeah. And so what it means, guys, is let's say, I think VinFast, that car company, was a good model of that. I'm going to shoot out some numbers to you. They will not be accurate. Let's say they got, $550 million to come here, right? In tax breaks, all kinds of stuff. Well, they say that they're going to put in 1,000 jobs. They don't. And this happens all the time.
It does.
This happens. Look,
It doesn't just happen at the state level, though, Sloan. Actually, counties make deals with some of these companies. And I've been watching that because I noticed in Western North Carolina, a lot of the county commissioners are starting to realize that the county incentives that were given are not the companies aren't holding up their side, and they're going after them.
Good. I mean, if you're not bringing the jobs and you're getting that in a quid pro quo, and you most definitely are, you've got to be penalized. I mean,
absolutely.
And I'm not a fan of them actually taking those kind of tax breaks on, because we don't get those kind of tax breaks at all.
I think if you were doing tax breaks on a construction site where you have to build to get there, that's one thing. It's another thing to say, we got a building here, it's already ready for you, we're going to give you $550 million to just get in here and do some work. That's BS. Right.
And those we get bitten on. So here's some more North Carolina news with one of our faves, the state auditor, Dave Bolak. This is basically to say that to make sure that illegals don't get to vote. Tell us about this, because I know this is near and dear to your heart.
It absolutely is. And basically what it says is they're going to use every available system on the back end in the government to prove that you are an American citizen when you vote in a North Carolina election. So if you don't have real ID, you better have a passport or some way to prove you're an American, a birth certificate, something that proves you're you, because you're not voting. And guess why this is important to me? It's not because people go to the polls and vote. That isn't where the problem is to me. It's the fact that we have this mail-in voting apparatus where they use a voter ID exemption form. So they say, I can't produce my voter ID, but I want to mail in this ballot. Oh, hell no, you're not doing that.
Like a provisional.
Well, it's not even provisional. It's legal. It's legal. You don't have to.
There's a lot of ways for.
Yeah, but this is going to reduce it significantly. You know, this and what we did in the last election cycle, which is we said you have to have your last four of social, or you have to have your voter registration number on there. That in conjunction with this takes away a lot of power that we saw, especially in the Riggs, that whole Riggs judicial race, you know. So I'm really excited about this. I think
Griffith can be credited with that. He's in Sung Hero, judge, or he is a judge, but he'll run again, I'm sure. So he can be credited with that. But look, we would not be worth our salt. We are NC Political Tea if we didn't cover this.
Hell yeah. What is it? What's that saying? Raise hell, praise Dale.
That's right. And so we're going to give you the lowdown. I mean, if you don't know what NASCAR is, I can't help you.
You're not from North Carolina. You're just
not from North Carolina. You're not from this planet. If you don't know NASCAR, I mean, I was born and raised in Charlotte, and I can't imagine living without NASCAR, or if you don't know what it is. But I'm going to get this guy. You actually posted him. And I think he was a race car driver. He's going to explain it. He's got a lot of flair, and he's got a NASCAR show. But let him explain it, because he's more
colorful.
In the garage area. You know it's serious when I put on my Davey Allison hat.
Oh, shit.
Richard Childress, one of the most famous car owners in all the world.
We know Childress, by the way. Good friend of the show.
He was Dale Earnhardt Sr.'s car owner. The man in black, number 3. He's been in NASCAR as long as any car owner there's ever been. Roger Penske, Rick Hendrick, they all admire, they love Richard Childress. Richard Childress, on this Monday, November 24th, comes out with a scathing press release. And I'm just going to paraphrase it for you. I'm not a journalist, okay? We're just drinking beer.
Apparently, I'm not either, sir. But go ahead.
We're just drinking beer.
Richard Childress says,
drinking tea.
I'm so disappointed in NASCAR. Phelps and Herbst, what they said about me after all these years I put into this sport. And at the very end, he said, we are going to look into legal action. Okay, that's what, whoa.
So Michael Jordan is involved.
Michael Jordan.
What has happened?
So it looks like what is going on is they're trying to move some of the NASCAR monopoly. That's what Michael Jordan says, it's a monopoly. He's suing because it's a monopoly. They're trying to move things around, and mostly out of North Carolina. But look, this has been going on for a while. It's not just Michael Jordan, although he is being kind of a catalyst in this. You know, we've seen NASCAR become woke. We saw the whole Bubba Wallace thing. That was stupid. Yeah. And we know that the VPs and the upper echelon in the NASCAR suite are all Hillary Clinton Foundation people. So they've taken over NASCAR. And now even Childress has said, I'm done with y'all. I'll just seek some legal action, and we'll get it back on track. No pun intended.
Oh, that's a good one. I hope for a speedy resolution.
Ah, I burned some rubber on that one.
Oh, it was very good. I got nothing.
I know. Well, it's just crazy to see.
How about this one? I love little baby Jesus. What was that one? The Talladega Nights?
Talking about Talladega Nights.
Bless you, sweet baby Jesus.
Shake and bake.
Yep. God, we could go on. I really wish I prepared more for that segment. I would have had more little references.
More for it. That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, listen here. I mean, I think we really need to pay attention to this. I think it's one of the first openings where you're going to see a North Carolina legend. He is a North Carolina legend.
Oh, yeah.
And he's going to get the people on his side. You think Richard Petty's going to stand by and like not let that take place?
And Rick Hendricks is
I know.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, you're about to see the North Carolina people go to war with the conglomerate from outside the state. And I've been saying this for a long time, and I have. It's kind of the carpetbaggers come in here and think they're going to take us over. And I think the cultural people are in North Carolina are like, hell no, you're not. So it's going to be interesting. And I think we should pay attention to that.
Definitely. NASCAR is life here. So, all right. Well, thank you all. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Are you cooking?
I am cooking some things. I'm not cooking the big stuff. Okay. And I'm not spending a lot of time on that this year because I don't have a lot of family coming in this year. We're going to do it next year. But I am participating. So that's the big part. Are you cooking?
I am.
What are you making? Turkey?
I am. No, I ordered the turkey. I'm doing lasagna, 3-layer cake, mac and cheese. Because I'm going to tell you what, you got to have the damn mac and cheese.
You're going to have the pasta overload.
The pasta overload. Hopefully I'll eat none of it. But that's what I'm making to have a big gathering here. So, but everybody have a wonderful, seriously, a wonderful, wonderful Thanksgiving. Yeah. I'm really looking forward to seeing the family. I know you are. We have a space coming up on Monday night at 7 on X about the designation of Muslim Brotherhood. So please do join in.
Tomorrow night, I have a space.
You
at
do?
8 o'clock.
Okay.
We're going to do an introduction for Don Brown in a space with some folks. So if you want to join us over there, I'll be there with Jay Hans, who I love. He's from Georgia. And we're just going to do just talk through with Don Brown. If you don't know who Don Brown is, he's an acclaimed author. So he's running for Senate. But if you want to join us, please do. Yeah.
Good candidate. We only have 2. And I tell you what, we weighed in on the other one. So. Yep. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving. We'll be back on Tuesday.
Be safe, Sloan, and have a great holiday.
Bye, Margot. You too.
That's a wrap on today's NC Political Tea. We hope you're leaving sharper, spicier, and ready to take on the political craziness in the Tar Heel State. If you loved what you heard, or even if it made you mad, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this show with your friends, family, and that one coworker who just needs the truth. Follow us on social media to stay in the loop and get your daily dose of conservative fire. And remember, here in North Carolina, the grassroots grows stronger when we stand together. Until next time, keep the faith, keep up the fight, and don't let the left water down your tea. This is NC Political Tea, where we spill it like it is.